Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the forum stage. Thank you for turning up in such large numbers. My name is Kerry Finch, and I'm the host for the day. The theme is creative collaboration. And we have a couple of guys coming on stage now to speak with you about their form of creative collaboration and what it means and what the fuck are you guys doing, basically. Oh, it's not up there. I can see it down here. I can swear it's truly on the screen. It's fine. Please do use hashtag CanLions. Let's get a debate going, ask questions, share insights, get excited about stuff, post photos. Let's try and break Twitter. I didn't say that. Shh. Let's really start using social media because it's very good fun. And the guys, I'm sure, will engage with that afterwards. Now, we on the forum stage are special and golden, unlike any other stage at CanLions. We have what is called a catch box. In here, we have a microphone. At the end of each session, we throw this into the audience so that you can ask questions of our speakers. They're excited to be here, and they're excited to interact with you. And so please do think of questions, and at the end, I'll be throwing this into the audience, and we can take some questions from the floor. Let's be better than Sunday when they used it this way up. Bad people on Sunday. Bad people. You lot look really smart. We'll be using it this way up. Brilliant. That's for later. It's a little game I like to play. So what are we doing here? We have two very superb guys. We have Fernando Machado from Burger King, and we have Anselmo Ramos from David. Together, they've won so many awards that I can't even count that high, and I'm really good at maths. So that's a lot. That's a lot of awards. Please, can you welcome, put a warm, big hand, a warm round of applause for Fernando and Anselmo. Thank you.
Hi, guys. So, who do you think is the client? I wish I had an agency logo to wear it, but I don't. So that's Fernando Machado from Burger King, obviously. I'm Anselmo from David. And the idea today is just to tell our story, our relationship. And so basically, I'll say some shit about him, and he'll say some shit about me.
Hopefully worse.
Do you want to start saying some shit about me?
Yeah, I can start. Okay. I think that one of the key reasons we are here today, partially is her fault. This is Erica Hoholic. She is the lead person at Mao, at TBWA. Back then, she was working at Ogilvy in London, and she introduced me to Anselmo. It was back in 2012. It was actually pretty close from here, in one of the Cannes parties. The guys were doing really well. I left the party. Anselmo was there, like dancing. Pretty weird, like all sweat. They were like celebrating because Ogilvy Brazil was having like an amazing year that year. Like Sprite Shower, if you remember, or like Forgotten Letters, Whopper Face, which was actually work for Burger King. The guys were winning everything, and it was really, really amazing. He was a little bit drunk, so the conversation was not as fruitful at that first moment. But we said, you know what? Let's organize to talk. Let's organize to keep this conversation going. Go have fun. And then he went back to the party together with Musa and Gaston, his partners. Back then, I thought it was really weird, guys. Not the dog, but the dancing of Musa, Gaston, and Anselmo. Clearly, like, creativity doesn't necessarily come with dancing skills as a bundle. And then I was working on Unilever back then. I went back to London. I was living in London and spoke to my boss, Steve Miles, who is still working at Unilever on Dove. And we said, you know what? Why don't we bring Anselmo? Those guys are on fire. Why don't we bring these guys to give a talk to the Dove team? We were having a big global conference with everyone from Dove. And then we said, yeah, let's bring these guys. Let's bring Anselmo to give a talk. So I called Anselmo, hey, man, do you want to come to London to give a talk to the whole Dove team? He said, oh, of course I will go, but can I say anything? I said, yeah, of course. Are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Just come and say anything. So Anselmo came. And by the way, these are real shots from back then. I will take over the shots. So Anselmo came, and to the whole Dove team. Like, we were like really excited to have him. And then he said, you guys on Dove, you guys are really, really amazing. Amazing. You are amazing at doing pack shots. And honestly, people were like, yeah, like we are. You guys are amazing at doing product demos. And you guys are really, really, really good at making real women make faces on the spots that you do. And we were starting to feel a bit awkward and weird about those statements. But, like, keep going. And then he said, like, let's do an exercise here. Where do you think the Dove brand belongs? Does the Dove brand belong to this group of brands, which are basically like competitors on the personal care category? And people were like, yeah, sure. Or does it belong to this group of brands, which is basically Grand Prix winners at Cannes? And by the way, back then, I don't think that most people knew that that was a group of Grand Prix winners at Cannes. And then he proceeded to continue to bash us live, the whole team, by saying that the last kind of like iconic work that the brand has done has been Evolution, which was like in 2007, if I recall correctly, and that every time he saw the Evolution woman, which you probably remember her, she would look at him, he would look at her, and then she would whisper to him, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" Yeah? So this is like the real shots that this asshole presented to the entire team. Yeah? So like never bring him to present to your team, no. And then, just to wrap up, he said, you know what? This is where you guys belong. And it was this shitty shot. Like he could not even get the logo right. It's kind of like a bit distorted. Like he probably did that on the plane, like arriving in London, because it's really shitty. And then he said, this is where you guys belong. You guys should be running for one Grand Prix every year because you have an amazing brand. And then my boss, Steve Miles from Unilever, and I said, you know what? Let's brief this motherfucker to come up with the.
Thank you. I guess.
Your turn.
So that was the brief. Just one line. The brief was literally just that. Let's make women feel more beautiful. And as you can imagine, I was completely desperate. I had just promised a Grand Prix to a room full of marketeers. I was like, that was a stupid thing to do. And then I was desperate. I put the entire agency to work on it, everyone. And then we had a lot of ideas, like a lot. And we selected 3 ideas. And Dove Real Beauty Sketches was one of them. At the beginning, it was really bad. I mean, that's the first version of the board that I could find. The original version was so bad that I think Hugo and Diego erased the version because it was basically comparing sketches with photos. And only when we get to, okay, maybe it's better if we compare sketches with sketches, that's when we presented the idea to them. But I think, that says a lot about, how we work. Because I remember the first meeting that I presented the idea. It was a call. He was in London. I was in São Paulo. And then Fernando was like, but are you sure this is going to work? And I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, so you have no idea if this is going to work. I'm like, 0. And that piece of dialogue right there has been the basis of our relationship. We trust uncertainty in everything we do. Because he's like, are you sure? I'm like, no, I'm not sure. But, the great thing is, I think Fernando and Steve Miles, who was Fernando's boss at that time, they both embraced the idea, and they were ready to trash it, and we didn't know if it would work. I remember calling Veronica, our head of production, the first day after the shoot, telling her, please tell me this is working. And she's like, yes, it's working. Women are crying here. And I'm like, and men are crying here too. And so we didn't know, and it worked. And I think, we kept making the idea better. For instance, at the beginning, the idea was just to have a sketch artist. And then I told Hugo and Diego, the creatives, I said, guys, usually is the FBI that finds you. I need you guys to find an FBI guy. Let's make it like an FBI artist. So that made the idea better. And this guy was always open to those improvements. And he's so passionate. about the whole thing, that he created a 24/7 headquarters in London, and he wrote these things, and he put that up on the wall, saying things like, we're looking for firsts. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay to piss off some people. Things that clients say every day, right? And then, thank God we won a Grand Prix. And otherwise I wouldn't be here. And, it was amazing. 20 Lions, just one idea, 20 Lions, 10 golds, the first Grand Prix for Latin America, the first titanium Grand Prix for Latin America. And then, we became Agents of the Year in Cannes in 2013. A lot of people here, I think you guys are here. So thanks, all of us. Thanks, Fernando. That was a very emotional moment. At that moment, I learned two things. First, I learned that everything's possible if you have the right partnership, if you really believe in something and you have the same ambition. That was the first learning. Everything's possible. The second learning is you really have to position yourself properly in the photo because that's Rico. I mean, can you imagine the guy like, Mom, I won a Grand Prix.
And he was one of the guys who worked the most.
Yeah. So he was like, Mom, I won a Grand Prix. Like, what's a hide and seek Grand Prix?
So that's chapter 1. And then what happens was, like, a couple of years later, we met for dinner. I think it was in London, right? We met for dinner in London, and then we were talking about, like, hey, so what's next? What are you going to do? And this and that. And Anselmo had opened, like, it's kind of like a spin-off from Ogilvy, which is David, the agency. And they had back then an office in Argentina, an office in São Paulo. And he was telling me, like, and we were thinking, like, like maybe we should open an office in London, maybe we should open an office in Miami. And that's a real picture of his two daughters choosing between Hunter boots and Havaianas, because that was basically like the decision that they had to make. And then I tried to help by making his life a little bit easier. And I said, know what, man? I'm going to Miami. I was leaving Unilever back then. And I said, I'm going for Burger King. I think it's an amazing brand. A brand that's like award-winning, also has a titanium in the past, and has been kind of like struggling a little bit in the recent past to do work of the caliber that Crispin used to do. I mean, we were picking one award here and there. We did actually pick one with two with Whopper Face, right? It was two silvers, which was work done by Ogilvy São Paulo, right? So I said, I'm going to Miami, and why don't you open David Miami, and then maybe we can continue to work together. So I moved from London to Miami. First thing I did was to work in the restaurant. I didn't have personal care. I only had personal care experience. I didn't have restaurant experience. So I spent a couple of days working in Leicester Square in London in the restaurant, even before I started officially at Burger King, because I wanted to get acquainted with the business a little bit. It takes time. Second thing was to do some work in terms of brand positioning. And our intention, and we worked together on that with Nasia, with the team from David. Intention there was to basically crystallize what the positioning was. It was not to reinvent the wheel. This is a brand that has been in the marketplace since 1954. And if you think about it, our guests and fans were screaming what the positioning should be. We are a brand that puts the crown on everyone's head. Yeah, so we are extremely democratic. We welcome everyone. And this is kind of our fans telling us that. So what we tried to do was to basically elevate Have It Your Way, which became pretty much about customization and the transaction, which has been the slogan for the brand for so many years, to become more about Be Your Way. Yeah, to ladder up to a bigger human truth around being yourself. The brand welcomes everyone. You encourage you to be yourself. And what we saw was that with that positioning, because we do such a good job launching products that are differentiated, what started to happen was that we were showcasing that we welcome everyone, doing products that were differentiated, and then what would happen is that we would attract like-minded people who are as different as the products that we sell. These are just some examples of real stuff that happened throughout the last, 18 months, 2 years. This is Proud Whopper, which is one of the first cases we did. Anyways, so I was starting the work on positioning, and then I told him, man, kind of funny thing, when I arrived at Burger King in Miami, they have a museum with stuff, and the king is there, like a real model, like really tall, almost as tall as Musa of the king. And then I walk there, and the king would look at me and basically like whisper the exact same thing that evolution women used to whisper. So we need to do something about this. So back then, even before I started the real work, I basically flew to São Paulo to talk with the team in David, São Paulo, and brief these guys so that we could start to bring the positioning to life.
So this guy is so fucking annoying that he arrives at the agency at 7 a.m. Like he flies from London and he goes straight to the agency. And 7 a.m., of course, we are not there. We are ad people, we arrive at 10. And he goes to this bakery, a padaria in São Paulo, and he eats by himself like a lonely guy eating.
Paulo came.
Oh, then Paulo came, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like just him at this padaria eating something like, oh, where's my idea? I want to see ideas. And we, as you can imagine, we had a lot of pressure because, okay, now after sketches, we need to present something to this guy, and it needs to be good. And but again, the brief was just one line. The brief was, let's encourage people to be their way. And then we had a bunch of ideas. And in the very first round, we presented this, and that's the regional board, the Proud Whopper. And it was exactly the same name. And the line was very similar. The final line was, inside we're all the same. So it was, we're all the same inside. It was very similar to this one. So that was the very original board. It's a very ugly board, as you can see. But we thought it was a very good way to execute the new positioning, which is about be your way, to tap into the LGBT community. And then Fernando immediately loved the idea. He loved it. And then he started to do what he does best, which is sell the hell out of it. This guy, he would wake up at 5 a.m. and drive 3 hours to go to a franchisee that didn't like the idea. And then he would talk, and then the guy would say some things, and then he would go back like a week later with new arguments.
No, to be honest, there were lots of people who were passionate about the idea. People were pushing.
Yeah. Okay. But the idea, again, this guy, the point is that this guy, he becomes a pain in the ass when he loves something. And it got to a point that we said, Fernando, you know what? We don't have to sell this. We can come up with something else, And he wouldn't stop. And then it got to a point that I said, man, you're going to get your ass fired. Stop it. And then he's like, yeah, but if I get fired, would you hire me? I'm like, no. I don't want to lose a client. That's stupid. And but he wouldn't stop, And so finally we sold it and we made it happen. But again, like sketches, things kept evolving. Like, for instance, we realized that the rapper is the key of the idea. So we did everything we could to get the rapper right. It was a challenge to print both sides, for instance. And it was really hard. But it was great because then people wouldn't throw it away. It got sold on eBay for over $1,000. And then, I remember we were editing the thing, and then there was this scene that this girl says is the same shit. And then, we as an agency, we said, man, we probably should take it out, And he's like, over my dead body. And then, I'm glad that it stayed. It became a GIF. And, it's a very controversial idea. This guy got letters from priests saying, my church will stop eating at Burger King. This is a real letter from a priest. It says, I stand with the King of Kings, not the Burger King. And I think Fernando framed the letter. So I think, the thing is, it doesn't matter if it's Dove, if it's Burger King, or if it's any other brand. We are partners in crime. We have the same passion, and we go all in for it. That's Fernando at the parade, by the way.
And it's not even like the partnership that we have goes beyond just even like the ideas that David presented to us. Yeah, like most recently, an idea that came from YNR New Zealand, and we had like an interagency team working on this called Interior, BPR, Horizon Media, with the other partner agencies like working on this, and David also helping bring this one to life. You know, like we just embrace ideas and we try to make the idea as big as it can be. I'm not going to detail this too much because you guys have probably seen this in the festival. Oops, go back one. Can I try to go back one? Yeah. So this is a recent one that we've done. It's like 2-3 months ago. It was April, I think, right? The king never spoke, right? And we thought it would be a really cool way to showcase that we welcome everyone by having the king speaking for the first time. And we made that happen with sign language. So we had the king basically like inviting people to create a sign for the Whopper. Yeah? In the community of deaf or hard of hearing, you cannot create a sign yourself. It comes from the people, you know, and then it becomes official. It's not like an official language that you push forward. So that was kind of like a really, really cool activation that we also did. And again here, like uncertainty, you know, like we didn't know if it would work. We didn't know how people would react. And we basically like went for it. I think that the thing about uncertainty that I like the most is that every time I feel that when I ask the question and I get the reply, hey, we don't know if this is going to work, to me, it only means that it was not done before. I mean, if we knew it would work, then it's because we've done it or another brand has done it. So if the answer is like, I don't know, I actually get really excited about that. So after these cases, and because we've worked together for so long, we decided to kind of like start to writing down what we thought were the ingredients to make the partnership so successful. In fact, we wrote like what we thought it would, what the ingredients were like in bullet points, and then we started to write more and more and more to the point that we created like a draft of a book, which we called Don't Be a Client. So we drafted that whole thing. We thought like it was really cool, and this is like, I'm not going to go into much detail, but those are kind of like the top 10 that we created. Don't be a client, meaning be a partner. You know, like client is a relationship of like provider and the customer, and I think that our relationship is not like that. Advertising development is an acquired taste, so that's why people should come here, and it's great to see so many clients here. Great advertising is never done by committees. I'm sure you agree with that. Create a great brief. You saw our one-liner briefs. Let the idea grow. Great advertising is 80% idea, 80% the crafting. This is actually a phrase from Haggerty. Do research to improve things, not to cover your ass. You don't need to be ambitious. You just need to be aligned. The 70-30 rule, meaning like how much you take. 70% tends to be bread and butter in any business, but you need to have like that percentage that you're going to take a little bit more risk and sell it like you have never sold before. We are talking about the idea. So this is just like the title of the chapters, and hopefully we'll be able to like finish this soon enough. And then we created this draft, and we sent around to a couple of people to provide feedback. One of them was Walter. Yeah, who's sitting here. Thanks for the picture. And then Walter is like the CEO for Magari Bowen in Brazil, and had the opportunity to work together with him while he was at Unilever. And then we sent to him, and Walter was kind enough to read the stuff and send us like his feedback. It's a mix of Portuguese and Italian, which is kind of like how he writes. I'm not going to read for you because it's a bit too long. I'll just summarize what Walter said. Was that it was really, really bad. That it was stuff that was written for a junior brand manager, not for marketing VPs or CMOs out there. Thank you for the feedback.
Thanks, Walter. And then, we said, okay, if it's just for a junior brand manager, what's the problem? Because that's exactly what we do. There's no secret sauce. We said, well, maybe the problem is that most people think they're doing, but they're not really doing it. They're doing halfway. It's half-ass. And they're not going all in. And then we said, okay, so maybe the title of the book could be, You Think You Do, but You Don't. Published by Fathom, by the way. And then we said, well, I'm not sure. Maybe it could be why CMOs need to be ad freaks. also published by Fathom. And because this guy's a death freak, he calls me sometimes like, Anselmo, are you sure? Category A7, don't you think F18 is better? I'm like, really? Don't you need to sell burgers? And then we said, okay, so maybe the title of the book could be Trust Uncertainty, because that's what we do. This one is published by Taschen. And then we said, you know what? Maybe the title of the book should be, what the fuck are you guys doing? Because that's the core of our thing. This one's by Penguin. By the way, we would love to know what you guys think. You know, what's the title that you guys think we should use? So, you know, please write us at hey@whatthefuckareyouguyesdoing.com. And, you know, write suggestions, anything. You can say that this was shit, whatever. Just write anything, and we'd love to talk to you guys. Yeah, that's you.
And if you don't know Anselmo well, he always tries to squeeze in a shot of Jean-Claude Van Damme on his presentations. So here's the shot of Jean-Claude Van Damme. And the thing is, I think it really summarizes like a lot of like what he brings to the table in the sense that we are really partners in crime on the stuff we do. You know, like we never give up. And there are days that I'm like upset, mildly depressed because I cannot get something approved or done. And then he'll be like the one who will be cheering me up. The opposite also happens. So I feel that I can count. I mean, the guy has, the agency has my back. And we always push to get the best idea. And if we have to move on, that's life. And then I'm going to move on and get an idea that's even better. Let me to pass.
So the same way I like Van Damme, and by the way, just to be clear, I like him way better than Volvo did that, okay? He loves Mother Teresa. Loves it. And Mother Teresa, you know, she's slightly wiser than Van Damme, and she said a lot of things. I mean, her quote was long, but basically what she said is, people are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. And that's what he does every way. I mean, it doesn't matter what happens, because every client has problems. Every agency, we all have problems. He does it anyway, you know, and that says a lot about him. So then we said, okay, maybe we should create like the ultimate motivational quote, which is, yeah. It's from this famous philosopher called Jean-Claude of Calcutta. And it says, no retreat, no surrender, and do it anyway.
We need a poster of that, right?
Yeah, we need it.
So I think this is my last chart. So I really believe on this. You know, like clients get the advertising they deserve. And that's why I don't want to be a client. You know, like that's why I want to be a partner. And the thing is, what I've seen, not just on the work that I do, but on the work that other people that I admire do, is that the more good work you do, the more good work you do. You know what I mean? I know it sounds a bit weird, but the thing is, the more good work I do, the more we have as a client, the more creative people will want to present us good work. You know, like if you are a creative person working at David, you know that you can count at Burger King to bring to life your crazy idea. A good idea is an idea that's out there, that's done. You know, like not like living on a PowerPoint or on a board. And that's why being a good client or having this type of partnership can really help improve the equity and help you do like great stuff.
So when I think about all the great work, the best work of our industry, there's always two people behind them. An agency guy and a client guy. Always a partnership. And, you know, and we thought about it. I mean, would there ever be a Dan Wieden without a Phil Knight? Probably not. Would there ever be a Lee Clow without Steve Jobs? Don't think so. Would there ever be an Anselmo Ramos without a Fernando Machado? Same level, right? Probably not. I didn't even tell him that I would do that, by the way. So, yeah, I think it's about the partnership. I think that's the biggest takeaway of this chat, is the relationship that we have. You know, I think that says everything. So thanks, man, for being a great client every day, a great partner every day. So finally, when I look at his eyes and when he looks at my eyes,
That's sounding weird.
I know, it's weird.
It's weirder than you dancing.
Yeah. We basically see what the fuck are you guys doing? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much. I love it when you talk smack about each other. It fills my heart with joy. Who's got a question from the floor so that I can throw this very forcefully at you and try and break your glasses? You put your hand up. I know you just thought, by osmosis, know that you wanted to ask a question. Put your hand up. There's one there. You ready? Oh, okay.
Hi. Okay, I think it works. So I believe the time you guys met, there was no Tinder. So when you realized there was a match?
I don't know. I was dancing, and then this guy in the middle of the party says, "Hi, I'm from Dove. Can we talk?" I'm like, "I don't know. Yeah, let's talk." But I think we realized that we could do something together when I flew to London to give that talk, and he said, "Say whatever you want." And I asked him, "Can I really say whatever I want?" He said, "Yeah, go for it." I said, "Okay, I like that."
Yeah, I think it was also it was through consistency over time. When we were talking about sketches, Ogilvy is a big network and has lots of talented people in different offices. So we were talking with other ECGs from other offices, and then we decided to go. We had so many ideas we couldn't even produce all the ideas that we had at the time, and we prioritized sketches. And then when we went for a second round of doing cool stuff, these guys also came with the idea that Steve and I thought were the most powerful. And just over time, the relationship develops, and trust is built.
Who's got a question from the floor? Somebody at the back. I really want to chuck this really hard. I'm going to chuck it, and then someone's got to catch it.
We have one here.
Yeah, but then you're not at the back. Do you want to? If you can get up and go to the back.
Hey guys, this is a question for you, Fernando. In the US, we have a lot of bureaucracy in our clients, so a lot of times, the higher client will be on board with risky ideas and trying to support the agency, but then we have to deal with all the clients that are underneath the top client. So my question is, if you have any advice on how we as creatives can deal with this and try to have them be as supportive as the client, the higher clients.
I think that the problem is bigger when it's the other way around. If the guy who is at the top it doesn't either understand or not good creative, and you have the bottom of the people that are coming, understanding and liking. I think that I see more that type of problem. I mean, if the problem that you have is getting dilution, between the head and the rest, I would try as much as possible to talk to the decision maker every time, and not waste your time with people who are just making the idea worse.
I'm going to chuck this into the audience, and whoever touches it has to ask a question about anything. Are you ready? You ready? Are you ready? Yeah. Oh, damn you. Okay. Yay! That gentleman right there.
Hello.
That's a cold call.
I know Fernando, I work with him in Spain.
Speak into the talking box,
okay. My English is so bad. Okay, I am the surprise question. I work with Fernando. I have lucky to work with Fernando. I'm really only to say thank you because it's really, really amazing to see what kind of relationship the advertising with the agencies is crazy. I would like to do a question. What is the future? Would you take it this relationship? What is the next level for the?
He's moving in. No.
Yeah.
I think it's try to continue to do cool stuff,
Yeah, I think we like to work with each other, regardless of the brand. So just try to have fun. I mean, we want the same thing. We want to do the best idea possible. Otherwise, what's the point? in working this business, and he wants that as badly as I want, sometimes even more. So we just want to have fun together and do great stuff, you know. It doesn't matter the brand.
And that it becomes contagious to the other agencies, the other countries.
Yeah.
So Burger King has won awards this Lion for France, for Argentina, for the US one, global one. Shortlist for New Zealand. We got shortlisted last year with Spain. So we are always doing like, the more good work you do, the more good work you will do.
Yeah. And here's just adding to that, here's the point. Because he buys great ideas, when he asks the agency for something, the creatives will love to work for him because they know that he will end up fighting so hard to sell that idea internally. So the creatives will do anything because, it's for Fernando, so let's do it. He's going to do everything he can to improve it. So that helps.
Who's got another question? Who's got their hand up? Could you, sir, chuck your box, as it were, over there?
Okay, you guys have done some amazing work, so congratulations on that. The question I have is, how important is it? You have a very strong relationship professionally, but going beyond that, does it actually count, or is it only the work that actually matters? The relationship beyond the boardroom, do you guys
You are asking for friends?
Yes.
I'm not his friend.
No. He's just a client.
Yeah. I mean, he's embarrassing. Just see the guy dancing. You know?
With dogs.
No, I mean, we get along well, but just like I get along well, or he gets along well with other people too. It's like,
Okay. One last... Whatever. Who's got the talking
here.
box? Okay, that was... Oh! I was waiting for it to hit his head. Thank
We have
you.
one here.
There's one question over here. I'm going to chuck it.
Oh my God.
Good catch, sir.
Okay. Hi. My question is, what's the secret of fighting internally the idea? What's your secret?
Don't give up. Don't surrender. Do it anyway. No. Like understanding what's blocking the idea and bringing arguments to the table to convince. It's not like I convince every time either, you know. Like, but the ratio is good, yeah. But you need to like understand what's the reason why people are not approving something that you consider to be amazing. Is that the company lacks advertising literacy? Is that people think it's too risky, and then you need to prove that's not risky. You need to explain what value an idea like this will bring to the table on the long run. It's not easy, and there are days that I am like so upset, you know. And it's not about Burger King or Unilever. That's life. If it were easy, someone else would have done already. So it's basically like fight, and try to bring good arguments, bring alliances, recruit people to support you, and building trust. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Just adding to that point, I think sometimes the problem is you have an idea and you build a deck, like a keynote, and then you try to convince some people, and then you stop there. Our keynotes, it's an ongoing thing. If someone says something, we address that. So it's it's V3, V4, V5. So it gets to a point that every comment, every concern gets addressed. So it's an evolving thing. We never stop the presentation deck. It always gets better, you know.
And that's all we've got time for, ladies and gentlemen. Fernando, Anselmo, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And